So, is the NBA still rigged? Of course, if you've been following my channel the last 5 years before it was deleted around the time of the alleged pandemic took over, you know that this has been unbelievably rigged, overtly, explicitly, without a doubt, to any non zombie. It's clear, it's obvious. Is it still rigged, though, is the question. And there's a few things with that. At first, over the course of this year, I was thinking they retooled and re examined their approach to managing, socially engineering the mass illiterate, profane morons that are in the world that watch this drivel. Essentially, because nobody was watching it due to their unbelievable race baiting around the time of the COVID outbreak, alleged COVID outbreak. And so this year, on the whole, the basketball has been the highest quality ever since we can remember. There's actually been stretches where there's real basketball being played, but you always have to watch out for the marks of the rig, which are starting to pop up now. So if you haven't seen some of my previous videos, we articulated by breaking down play-by-play mini games my wife and I did, because we started noticing that the games were rigged, fouls were getting called on replays, nobody was being touched. Nobody. And then we started reading Brian Tuohy's books and other books, and then we're like, well, how are they doing it? How is this rig happening and no one seems to be aware of it? And so we abstracted marks of the rig, how they actually do it. So when you see these occurring in the game, it's a mark of a rig. And we need to be watchful of the marks of the rig. So what are some of the marks? These are not all of them. So some marks of the rig are player foul trouble, imbalanced free throw attempts for stretches of the game, which are made up by the other team in the second half. So LeBron, LBJ rigs, all those years he was making his rig runs in the playoffs. It'd be like a 18-2 free throw advantage in the first half, and they'd be up by 25 points. But by the end of the game, it would be like a 25-20 free throw advantage, right? So you give them the shift of momentum, another mark of the rig. And all these free throws give them a hot hand, which gives them momentum, the shift of momentum. The other team becomes emotionally imbalanced and begins having emotional outbursts, another mark of the rig. It's like a chain. It's like dominoes, right? One thing leads into the next, and you blow out teams. And so by the end of the game, it'd be like a more balanced stat line, so it wouldn't be so explicitly obvious, even though none of the brainwashed zombies can even critically think or analyze at all, even if it was like a 43-12 free throw advantage, right? So, and one last thing before I go on to this year's playoff. For 40 years, essentially since the you-know-who took over, the NBA has essentially only marketed superstar players as their business model. So obviously you have Bird, Magic, Jordan, Shaq, Kobe, LBJ, but now who is it, right? So how are they going to get people to tune into this pathetic drivel every night? Well, right. Generally, people watch it because they're addicted. That's about the only reason. I'll move on to the current playoffs. Is the NBA still rigged? Like I was saying, in general, it is not as bad of a rig as it has been, but they have their craft still at play. Let's take a look at some of the first round matchups here. Timberwolves versus the Memphis Grizzlies. This was the most overt rig of the weekend here at the time of this recording. So what you see is a 130-117 final score. This was like a 30-point blowout in reality for the Minnesota Timberwolves. You have 27 free throws for Minnesota and 32 fouls on them. 32 fouls. Some of these games, they're calling fouls every possession. Every possession. And you see the Grizzlies with 43 free throws. and only 24 fouls. So a clear advantage to a team that was essentially getting blown out, outmatched by the Minnesota Timberwolves. And the draw, the bottom line for the rig is for Memphis to win this series. That's the social engineering, the narrative, the media spell is that Memphis should win, right? Ja Morant, they build these images up using communications theory and to build the brand, the corporate brand name of these players up, like LBJ. Ja Morant is one they're building up. 43 free throws to this team. And if I used to be able to break down play by play and show play by play how all of these and figure out, oh, actually it was only 15 free throws they should have got. Or actually sometimes it was like 8. And that's how bad this rig is. Tim Donaghy, the ref that got caught rigging NBA games, which the NBA so loves to just forget that it ever happened, right? He said that they get 90% of the calls wrong. 90% wrong. And I might think it's higher than that. We have the Toronto Raptors and the Sixers. Sixers had the rig in their favor heavily. 34 free throws here. 18 fouls in the Sixers' favor, and 23. So 23 to 34 free throw advantage, which is significant. 19, so they had 10 extra points. 10 extra points in the 76ers' favor. If you minus 10 from this score right here, that's only a 10-point differential there. Really, you see 43 made shots for the Sixers and 40 here. That's a 6-point differential. You add up the threes, 4 more, it's about a 10-point game, right? But this was heavy bias towards the 76ers. Golden State, now that's a team with name recognition. Everyone likes to see them go. They've had series rigged in their favor so they could make that finals run. They shouldn't have. I mean, they got it rigged against them with LeBron. When was that? 2016. The obvious Draymond Green, Game 5, suspending him over nothing and then claiming LeBron came back. Don't forget, too, that a lot of these players are in on it. They know that all the teams do profit sharing. Oh, okay, everyone's in on it. The only thing that matters is bottom line. How many people are watching? How much merchandise are they selling? How much can they charge for tickets? Everyone is on the same team. It's just like geopolitics, foreign relations. All the countries are on the same team here. It's only how they present the countries seemingly opposing each other with certain interests and going to war and all this. That's all just complete propaganda. Similarly with the NBA as well. Now, I'm going to run out of time here. I only get 10 minutes. If I run out of time, don't forget I'm going to be following each one of these games closely, and I will report overt rigs. So keep looking back to this channel. There is Tim Donaghy. Used to bet on games. He used to, what did he say in his book? I think it was like a 65% win percentage on his bets for NBA games. And mind you, anything over like 50%, you can be a millionaire professionally gambling. So there you have it. In general, there is definite rigs still happening. It's tougher to pick up on it because there's no centralized hero figure in the Joseph Campbell model. So the biggest name is almost over, done, retired, washed up, LeBron James. So what is the new rig that they're going to employ? How will they get people to watch this drivel? LBJ was the old model. Before that, the previous superstars that they promoted, Jordan being the most prolific of them. We'll see, and I'll keep an eye on it. So far, it seems like just the biggest market teams in general have been promoted. Maybe I'm misspeaking there, but they were trying to at least keep this Grizzlies Timberwolves game close in the very least. This was a blowout for Minnesota. They were promoting the 76ers here, which is a big market team. I mean, the Raptors are the only